All right.
Good.
All right, and there we go. What's going on, Mike?
I'm not dressed well enough for you guys. I apologize. You guys are way better than me. I do apologize. Had a bad hair day. So yeah, you know how it is.
It's all good. What's going on, brother? How was your week?
I had the flu, so I got
shit.
what's called, you've heard the avian flu, like avian, like I had the AVN flu, Adult Video News Awards.
Yeah.
I went there to the AVN Awards, and while I was there, this one porn star, she's just like, "I love you so much, Michael," just like hugging all over me, and then I got the flu from her because she wrote on her note, she goes, "I have the AVN flu," and I'm like, "Well, I know where I got this shit from."
Oh shit!
Are you sure it wasn't mono?
Huh?
You sure it wasn't mono?
No, I went to so in order to get mono, I would have had to make out with her, and I wasn't going to do that in front of her husband. Good point, though. What happened is I went to the clinic up the street, and they said that I had the flu. So I haven't tested positive for the flu in like 30 years. So
wow,
pretty wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I'm glad. It seems like you're getting better though.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
man, for sure.
That's good. That's good. All right, gentlemen. I don't want to hold you up. You guys always have busy schedules. Thank you guys so much for joining. We're going to do between the 9 o'clock and 9:45 hour, and then we're going to wrap it up so you guys can enjoy your weekend. For the people that are joining on, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. We are on the main panel show. I do this every Friday. Michael, I have Locario and Kzaggin, they're regulars. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
For the first time, really appreciate it. You've been catching some steam lately, so that's why I'm so happy that you answered my DM with your debates and your ideologies. I'm quite interested in how you view things. So I'm just glad that you gave me the opportunity to come on the show. So, and I appreciate it. All right, guys. So tonight's topic is percentages equals game. Okay. Do we really care about actual adding up when we sleep with women? Do we care about the dates, the leg count? Do we have to show off in front of our friends? Do we need actual validation? Well, I rotate 5 to 6 women around. I have 15 other women that I'm messing with. I got this one overseas. I just need answers to these questions. Okay. Ooh. So the definition of percentages is a roll, a number of amount in each to the 100. Gentlemen, the amount of women guys sleep with, should it be in correlation with numbers, figures, and stats, like running a business? Kzaggin.
Well, I mean, when I was younger, I was just trying to slay everything that I was attracted to. So I can say when I was younger, it was probably more about the quantity. Now that I'm a little older, and I understand some of the pitfalls of dealing with some of the wrong women, it's about quality. And it's, when I say quality, not necessarily how she looks, because it's already presumed that she's going to be attractive to me. So it's not so much how she looks, but about her. It's about her behavior, because there's a certain experience that I want, and if the woman is not behaving in a way that's conducive to my bottom line, then it fucks up the experience that I want.
Gotcha. Appreciate it, Kzaggin. Michael.
Yeah, I mean, he said it perfectly. Like when I was younger, I didn't care if the girl didn't agree with me religiously or politically. It was just, you're just trying to have sex with the hottest girls that you could. You're in your early 20s. Your testosterone's through the roof. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that you care about. I will say now there's 2 things. Number one, quality women. Like you just don't realize. You guys ever heard the story of Gautama Buddha, the original Buddha, like 2,500 years ago? He's basically this Indian prince who has never seen a dead person, never seen a sick person, gets all the sex he wants, all the food he wants. He's a prince. One day he goes out and he sees a sick person for the first time. He says, "What is that?" "Oh my God, that's a sick person. That's disgusting." Then he sees a dead person. Then he sees a poor person. And he comes back and he finds enlightenment. So it's the rich guy telling you that money doesn't mean that much. It's the guy who gets laid all the time telling you that pussy isn't really that important. When you're in your 20s, you're like, "Yo, bro, let me find out on my own that money doesn't matter that much. Let me find out on my own about all the," you know what I'm saying? You hear, "Hey, bro, you don't want to mess with that crazy girl." And you look at her, you're like, "Yeah, I do. I'm 22 years old. I want to mess with her." But then you get older and you really see, especially when you have some shit, you see, Brittany Renner is a great example of this. She's after you because you have money and she thinks you don't have game. And so because now she's trying to take your money from you. When you see this, now you start to understand, no, this girl, it's not just an annoying time or maybe a case of syphilis, bro. It's like she'll take half your shit. She'll claim that you SA'd her, you raped her. You start to see, wow, the crazy ones, they can really do some damage to you. And then the second part is, I have friends that are attracted to women I'm not attracted to, and me having empathy to recognizing that they're happy. If you have a friend of that yours who's like really happy being married, and you know, like you don't think his wife's a 10, but you can see he's really fucking happy in his life. You just, it takes a while. But when I'm in my 20s, I'm like, no, all of us, we all want to bang super hot chicks, nothing but hot chicks. And then now I see some of my friends who are happily married and they're men, and their wives are like, they're not perfect, but they're still, you know, they're attractive to them. And you're like, and you have to have empathy for those people. And you say, okay, I'm not, for me, the metric, this is hard because I know pickup artists don't do this, but like the metric to me is the dude happy? Is the dude getting the girl he wants? So like that's the most important thing.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Michael. Go ahead, Locario.
Yeah, I would just say that, you know, all the like the numbers of women you're dealing with and all these other different things, I think it only matters in the sense of, are you learning more about what you like to make things better for your situation? So I think sometimes like guys will do things because their friends are doing it. They do things because they feel pressure to have to live a certain lifestyle or do a certain thing. But the thing is, if you are dealing with a number of different women and you're like, oh, I'm starting to realize I like this type of girl versus that type of girl, then that's the point, I think, or the most beneficial thing to do in those situations versus just going through all of that and you still don't learn anything. Like, you know, like how you ever know the guy who he's with a woman, he does something stupid with her, or something stupid happens, and then you're like, oh, he should have learned his lesson, but then he does it again with somebody else, and you're like, bro, what are you doing? What's the point of you doing all this if you're going to keep doing the same stupidness? So I think it's more so about, are the experiences you're having, you know, no matter how much women you're dealing with or whatever, are they shaping you into be a just better person overall in your dating life, but also understanding yourself at the end of the day? You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how I look at it in you know, at the end of the day.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right, so late counts and getting with certain women. So what I'm hearing from all your answers is it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day,
It's not that it doesn't matter. It matters in context.
Right.
It matters in like for instance, if that's all you want to do is you really don't, your number is a low number of like of attractiveness, and you just want to have sex with a lot of them. But the problem is this, right? If they're only a bunch of very unattractive women, but there's a lot of them, or they're super attractive women, but there's very few of them, there might be a hole in your game. So the thing is quality and quantity, and then your overall happiness. I know some dudes super religious, they want one woman to be with and that's it. And they want to find a wife. So it kind of depends on, it's not that they don't matter, it's that in context, they have to matter. If you're a guy who's like, I like really attractive women and I want to have a lot of sex, and you're having no sex, then in that point, you're so far outside of one standard deviation, then now your lake count does matter. If your lake count is 0, then it matters. Then it matters a lot. That means there's some serious problems. You're like 9 times more likely to take your own life. Like that, if your lake count's at 0, then it really matters, right? But if your lake count's at like several hundred, then there's not a big difference between 200 and 400. That's probably, the guy probably knows somewhat of what he's doing.
All right, but what about the ones that actually, they lose their virginity, but those are the ones that they want longevity with that person, with the opposing sex. So if they turn that 0 into that 1, and that's the person that they individually want to be with, does that still cause an issue?
No, not if that's something that they know they want and it's benefiting them. So a lot of times what happens is, unfortunately, because like, you know, the average guy usually wants or thinks he wants lots of women. That's just, you know, you grow up, you see a lot of girls, you want to get that happening. But there are people who know what they want off rip. And so if he wants that one woman, and like I have a friend who's been with his girlfriend since high school, they're married, they got kids now and all this other stuff. And he hasn't even looked at another woman. This dude is that's just how he is. So if he knows that that's the thing that makes him happy, then it wouldn't make sense for him to try to fit in with everybody else doing that, because that's not for him. You know what I'm saying?
See, Locario, to your point, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be with one woman that long and just one woman. I don't know how the fuck he's doing it. But shout out to him for having that resolve.
Right.
But I would say this to both Locario and Michael's point. I think a lot of guys, they're heavily influenced by what they see other guys doing. And I think that drives their desire to want something they may not want. What a lot of guys don't understand, dealing with multiple women at the same time, it's an undertaking. It's not for the faint of heart. Like when you're juggling women, you're managing women, we got multiple women that want to see you at the same time and all this type of shit. And especially when their feelings get involved, it's an undertaking. A lot of guys, they can't even handle one, let alone 2 or more. So some guys just by default, they should stick with just one woman because mentally and emotionally, they're not built to handle more than that.
Right. But you see the social structures they see, you know, you guys, and they listen to you guys and your viewers and your audience before I move on to my next question. And they see you guys like, you know, Michael's at, you know, porn awards and he's doing interviews, or, you know, you're talking to multiple women. So it looks like it's fun behind the scenes. But so what you're pretty much saying is Kzaggin is mentally, they really can't handle it, correct?
Yeah. And let me just say this, it is fun, but it's only fun to guys that have a handle on how to navigate it, right? So, but again, a lot of guys, they see things and they don't understand that it's work. It's work. And the biggest thing is, again, it comes back down to managing women's emotions, because you're going to have women that want to spend time with you outside of just sex. It's cool if you can just fuck with women who just want your dick and that's it. But when you have women who, you know, are requesting more and all that type of shit, how are you going to handle that? Most guys don't know how to handle that because they're too worried about offending a woman, or they're too worried about her leaving. So then they do and say things outside of their character to keep her there.
Understandable. Appreciate that. All right, so moving on to the second question. Thank you, gentlemen, for answering that. And guys, like I said, if you have questions for Michael, Locario, Kzaggin, get them in now because I'm not going to keep them on for too long. Locario, you implore to your audience to talk to at least over 25 women a day. Why is the focus so high on this number scale?
Yeah, so basically, it's really just to get them to be able to practice talking to women, to get used to being in the presence of women, to get used to rejection, to get used to getting women that are attracted to them. Like all those things happen as a combination of things, because this is the thing, this is the reality of it, right? If you're a guy who's not used to, you know, interacting with women, when you do get around a woman, she's gonna basically lead you and end up like taking advantage of you because you have no experience. So for example, like I use Michael as an example. You're around a lot of different women like all the time, so you're used to being around beautiful women. So a woman who's attractive can't just come up to you and just like take advantage of you because you're like, I see women like you every day. It doesn't make a difference to me. You feel what I'm saying? But a guy who doesn't have that experience, he's, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be like, oh my God, she's so hot. I don't know what to do. And then she'll be able to overtake him and do all this other stuff. So if you're approaching 25 women a day, if you're interacting with different women on a consistent basis, it becomes a normal thing. You normalize that particular situation so that when things occur where you are interacting with a woman, it's harder for a woman to take advantage of you because you know better. And that comes with practice, experience, and all that other type of stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate, and then I'll just go around the horn real quick because my second part of the question is, but shouldn't they avoid the actual pressures of the numbers, though, of talking to 25 women a day? I know you get on the horn with a lot of your audience and constituents, and they always say, well, you know, Locario, you know, 25 is, you know, it's a little bit difficult for me to talk to 25 women a day, you know, in between, you know, me working and doing all this other stuff. So can't they just solely focus on one at a time? Or it has to be set at a high number?
No. The high number is just getting them used to the interactions. Because even, for example, if you have a girlfriend or wife, right? Your girlfriend or wife's mood swings and changes. It's like you're talking to different women anyway. You're meaning that you have to be able to be strong enough to deal with women, period. So if you're lazy, or if you can't do that, then if you do get a woman, you're going to fail anyway because you can't even do something as simple as talking to multiple women. So how are you going to be able to have one girlfriend or a wife or be consistent with that woman when you don't have the strength to deal with women, period? So that's kind of like the way the essence of it is. It's so, and the reason why I put a high number, it's not like every day they're going to reach that number, but it's the high number so that at least, you know, you should be out there like doing things. You know what I mean? Because a lot of guys, they're just going to like kind of be too lazy about it. And this is the thing, just even in general, is that most people, they don't understand the amount of work it takes to actually succeed at anything. So then they do the least and expect to get massive results doing the least. And that's just not how life works in general anyway. You know what I'm saying?
All right, we'll go around
Let me add this.
and see if people, if Michael and Kzaggin agree or disagree. Kzaggin?
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. This is what guys got to understand. When they say 25 women a day, they're not just talking about when you see a woman approach her, they're also talking about online dating, right? So if you're doing online dating, you should eclipse that number easily. But let me add this. For me personally, right? Anytime I go anywhere, whether I go to the post office, the grocery store, I flirt with women all the time. That doesn't mean I want to have sex with them, right? Because there's playful flirting and there's sexual flirting. The reason why I flirt with women is to stay sharp, right? It's just to stay sharp. Because, I tell guys all the time, like when they work with women that they're not attracted to, when they have conversations with those women, the conversation flows fluidly. It's effortless because they're not concerned with trying to win her over. So that thought process isn't there. So they can just talk normal. And I asked them, I said, how come you can't do that with more attractive women? Oh, because you're so pretty. And I think if guys just got in the habit of just talking to women, even if you just see a woman, good morning, ma'am. Good evening, right? Even something as simple as that, just get used to conversing with women. So when you do encounter the more attractive women that make you nervous, it just flows as fluidly as it does with the unattractive women you talk to.
Thank you, Kzaggin. Michael, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah. So the term is called immersion therapy. They do this for people who have like a horrible fear of heights or a fear of just random things. In order to get over your fear of heights, if you jumped out of an airplane 10 times in one day, by the end of the day, you've completely lost. Your body no longer creates cortisol whenever you jump out of the airplane. So it's the same kind of situation here. We hold 8 Vegas immersions here in Las Vegas every year with Men of Action, and we make the guys talk to 50 girls every night, and it's for the same reason. They're just data points. And not to demean the women, but they're just data points. That's all they are. You're not there to meet your wife. You're in a fucking nightclub on a Tuesday in Las Vegas. That's not where you're going to meet your wife. It's for you to get over the idea of that this woman's going to hurt you or bite you. The other part he said about the women, the guys acting different. So one thing that we've worked on is I make it a mandatory that my clients do man on the street videos. They don't have to post them on social media, but I need to see them. The reason why we do that is because infield videos will get you blocked on YouTube, and also there's some legalities with it. But if you do man on the street videos, when the girl knows she's being filmed, it's a little bit different. The reason why we do that is because the guy will have a conversation with me and he'll sound normal. He'll have a conversation. Michael, I just don't know what happens. I will go up and talk to these girls and they don't ever want to talk to me again or give me their phone number. They just seem kind of turned off by me. And then I watch them do man on the street videos and it's like, hi guys, what's your name? They're holding the microphone. What? Hi Sally, that's such a pretty dress. Yay. Can you spin around for me? Oh my God. I'm like, bro, why did your neck make you look homosexual? Like, I don't understand. Why did your voice? Yeah, guys, that's great. And they do this weird thing with their fucking hips. And I'm like, bro, just pretend she has chlamydia. Like seriously, like just pretend she has a dick. And then when you talk to her, just again, I do this with guys all the time. Imagine you go up and you're coming up and talking to me. If you come in, would you give me a hug and put your face right in my face and then have your hands go slowly down my back and then grope my ass? No, because that would look homosexual. So stop doing that with women you just meet and just stop giving them so much fucking intent off the rip. If you knew a girl had herpes, would you go dick to vagina like this when you hug her, or would you hug her off to the side? If a girl was really fat, you give her like the side bro hug. Do you understand? If you just in my mind, I'm just like, yo, this girl has a dick, whatever. And I do that. And then the girl's like confused because she's so used to guys just throwing it at her off the rip. And so that's what I would do. I mean, if you got to play these games in your mind, then do that. I don't have to because most girls I walk up to wouldn't make my top 100. So that's the reason why, like, I just don't get nervous. But for some of my clients who are kind of new to this, that's what I would tell them. These guys, the girl has a dick, the girl has chlamydia, whatever. Hopefully you lose your Instagram for this. But yeah, that's generally what I would
No,
say.
you're fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's
No, we've heard
generally what I
our
would
words.
say.
No,
And it really works because the guys have to change the paradigm of the way they see a woman. And then when they do that, then they stop. Yeah, you guys are great. What, dude, you sound like Kim Kardashian. Like, why do you sound like that? Why did you feel the need? And the reason why is it's an evolutionary reason. You'll notice this. Guys in the gym who are smaller, when big dudes come in, the guys who are smaller talk quieter. If you don't believe me, pay attention next time. You'll notice that when big dudes walk to the water fountain, the smaller dudes get out of the way. And it's a function of like in general, it's something you have to like kind of hypnotize your way out of, is that when you'll see guys who will talk loud when they're with their friends and other dudes will walk in the room and they'll get quieter. And I make a point to never fucking do that. And it's your evolutionary wiring saying the alpha males are here. I need to be quiet so I don't piss them off. and you don't realize that you're doing it. I want to let you guys know 80 to 85% of you are watching this. You're just naturally built that way. It's not bad. I mean, there's still a way for you to function in society. But the reality is, if you want an alpha male mentality, when other dudes walk in the room, don't get quieter. That's not what you're supposed to do. And then every time you see an attractive woman, don't raise your voice, the pitch of your voice, because she's got big boobies. Don't do that. Like you have to, but you have, again, there's a reason why I recommend Man on the Street videos, so I can watch and see actually the way your voice inflection changes. And it's honestly probably the greatest teaching tool I've learned in the last 2 years is of the Man on the Street videos.
Appreciate that. And I just want you to expound real quick, Michael, top 100, what does that actually mean? So
like, when I walk up to a girl, it's very rare that I meet a girl who's attractive enough to be in my top 100. Like, okay. I find, but again, dude, I host the 3 biggest bikini competitions in the world. You have to look like a supermodel to be in my top 100. So I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, I live in Las Vegas. The women all here have a look. That's the look that I'm used to. That's what when I say that. Yeah.
And let me say this to Michael's point. A lot of men don't put themselves in positions to be around women who look a certain way on a regular basis. Like he said, he's so used to it. It's like when it rains, he just grabs an umbrella, right? Most guys, because they're not around women that they think are really attractive, they get nervous and intimidated. Like he said with the gym, when the smaller guys, the bigger guys come in, it's the same thing with women. When an unattractive Lizzo type comes in, these guys, they don't flinch. But when a badder or a more attractive woman comes in, all of a sudden their whole demeanor changes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And does, before we move on to the debating part of this section of the show, so does location actually matter, gentlemen? Anybody can take that. Does a location to actually talk to women really matter? Would it make you feel comfortable meeting? Go ahead, Michael.
So it's yes and no. So it should not matter to the point where you make an excuse. So I lived in Wichita, Kansas, and Warner Robins, Georgia, when I was in the military. The advantages in being a small area where there aren't a ton of beautiful women is that when there is no scene, you get to make a scene. So I had the sickest house parties back then because I had no competition. There was no like group of promoters to steal the women away on a fucking yacht because I'm in Warner Robins, Georgia. So there are certain advantages. The advantages to being in Miami is that there's more attractive women, but there's always some dude. Like you rent your little boat and you're in Biscayne Bay and some guy comes by in his fucking yacht and he's pissing on your boat and stealing your women. Yeah, I'm exaggerating obviously, but you understand, like there's always a bigger, better deal in a place like that. And so there's advantages and disadvantages to both. For me personally, Las Vegas is kind of perfect. It's not quite as big as Miami or New York or Los Angeles, but it's not as small as like Wichita or Warner Robins. So that's generally what I found. I think either one can be fine. In one case you have no competition, in the other case you just have hotter women.
Location, Locario, does it matter?
So you're saying doesn't matter for what specifically?
Just like
to be,
just to be talking to women.
I mean, well, yeah, it does because depending on where you're at, you're gonna have way more access to more women than other places. So like I live in New York, so in New York, just women everywhere. If you're in a smaller town, because I coach guys who are actually in smaller towns, and so sometimes what they'll do is I tell them like, hey, what's the closest place to you that has a more of a larger population? Because the thing is that if you have a smaller population, you can still get women and find women there, but just off sheer numbers, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be more difficult because based on where you're at, things might close earlier than if you're in another place. You're going to have more women in these areas than other areas. So, you can still basically like pull wherever, but it's definitely going to be easier the more women you have around. So like if you're in New York or Miami, that's easier than being in Delaware somewhere, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so it depends on where you're at. You
Appreciate it, Locario. Kzaggin, does location actually matter?
I agree with the fellas, yes and no. So this is what I would say. Guys who aren't as adept at attracting women, the women that they want, it's going to matter more for them. Simply because if they're in a small town, guys who might be more attractive to those women, they're going to scoop them all up. So those guys, they might have to go to a bigger city where there's more of a selection, right? So, but as Michael said, when he was in the military, when you're that guy, it doesn't matter where you're at. You can always create the experience you desire.
Right, that's a result.
Appreciate that, guys. All right, this is directed towards Michael, and then you guys can go ahead. We'll go around the horn. Michael. Now, I recently watched a brief snippet video, which a topic entitled, How to Sexualize Conversations with Women. All right. How would you say your success rate is with playing coy and innocent with women from scale to 0 to 10?
So I think I know which one. Just so you know, there's like a team of people that post my videos. I don't even know which one you're fucking talking about. I appreciate you watching it though. So I think we're conflating two different things.
Okay.
What I teach guys how to do is create conversations where women sexualize the conversation. Now, if you guys want to watch my live show, it's called Access Vegas. I do it every other Thursday. And when I do it, I bring up topics. So my topic might be, so what did your ex do to make you cheat on him? And she's like, now she's going into, oh, I never cheated on him, but he sucked in bed. And I'm really good at making of giving women enough rope to where they turn the conversation sexual. It's not that I'm being coy. It's that when I flirt, I'm just not big on showing massive intent to a woman who hasn't earned it. So what I'll do is I'll let her turn the conversation sexual. The other thing, what you're talking about, because we're conflating two different ideas. When I do openers with social media, so a lot of times I'll do an opener with my camera. When I do so, I act either confused or naive. So I'm like, oh my God, why do these women here keep grabbing my dick? And then the girl will just act like she's grabbing my dick or whatever. And it's just funny. And I act innocent. So that's that's a completely different thing. That's an opener that I do. That's a different, as far as the effectiveness, it means extremely effective. Um, because what happens is there's never this, I'm trying to think of the word. There's never this awkwardness. If the girl is the one initiating the sexual communication, then there's not that big of a deal. And often, because of my interactions are usually like 8 or 9 girls per guy, I try to set up scenarios where there's like at least 6 women for every one guy. In those situations, because women are competing for each other's attention, and they're the ones who turn things sexual. They're competing for your attention, and then it's just like it's not. You're just kind of getting chose. That's kind of the situation. So you don't really have to turn things sexual. In fact, it's a little bit gauche if you're the one who's doing it. You don't have to. The girls will be the ones who do it. So in order to create those situations, we go over the situation, the way to do that, by building a list and by having really, really awesome events. But yeah, that's generally the way it's worked out for me. It's worked out extremely well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I go around the horn, how do you keep those numbers in your head, though? It's
What
like, no, I just from a ratio to how you talk to women, you break it down like it's stats.
Yeah,
like it's,
yeah.
like it's sports stats.
Well, it is. I mean, so for those of you who don't know, I worked at a hedge fund for like 6 years. I'm a portfolio manager, and I sell short stock options. They're priced on a natural distribution, normal standard deviation. So like I just think in statistics. I teach in statistics as well. So for me, it just like the difficulty of it is I just hire a VA to do it all for me. But I know what I want. So I think, for instance, if I lived in New York, I would have a list of probably 6,000 girls, and I'd have a VA go through either a combination of dating apps or just go through different photographers, really, really cool nightlife venues, really cool restaurants, or really attractive women who lived in New York, and they would build a list of 6,000 women for me. And then whenever, like, for instance, let's say the Super Bowl was in New York, I would invite the girls to the Maxim Super Bowl party. I already have a guest list for that, and I would invite 6,000 women to that over the course. It would probably take a couple weeks to get through it all, and my VA would handle the whole thing. And then I would have open threads with maybe 2,000 or 3,000 women, and then from that point on, it's just not dating anymore. It's just fish in a barrel.
Wow. So the two go hand in hand with business as well.
Yeah, so what I just described to you is exactly what I do for business as well.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, understandable. All right, so I'm going to go around the horn real quick. So Michael said that I conflated a little bit, but I'm just curious on, is it a little bit too much as in terms of strategy when it comes to actually interacting with women? Is it just a little bit too much to be playing grab my dick or, oh my God, I'm just curious on how...
Why do these bitches
I'm just
keep
curious
objectifying me? Why do they keep objectifying me, Locario? Why can't they treat me like a fucking human being? Like that's what I say. Like I do that all the time. That's what I do, and they laugh.
Look,
Michael, I'm not getting on you. I do a lot of
Yeah.
information, and I was just curious. That's all.
Hey,
Go ahead,
hey, Russell,
okay,
real
Zach,
quick,
sorry.
I don't like when women grab my dick without my permission. I got a problem with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. What was the question again?
My bad.
I'm just curious. Is it just a little bit too much playing into it when it comes to women? I mean, do you have to go the extra mile? Do you have to say these certain I'm just curious on how it should go about the whole thing of when you're approaching women. Do you have to play up to it? Is there like a fucking sequel to it? I'm just curious. I just want to know when you're initially talking to women how you should go about it and cut through all the bullshit. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think what it is mainly, figuring out as soon as possible if any woman that you're talking to isn't going to be a waste of your time. You know what I'm saying? So however you want to do that, that's how you got to do it. But what I find is that most guys, when they're interacting with women, they're talking to a woman they find attractive, who they think is sexually appealing, which is why they're thinking about, I would want to have sex with this woman. But then the funny part is that what they'll do is they will like not interact with her in a way to see if she's sexually attracted to him. You see what I mean? So then what they'll do is tiptoe around it, and then they'll find out later that she's like, oh, you know, we should just be friends. I didn't really look at you that way. And so that's the thing I try to get guys, because then guys get frustrated and they're like, oh, this bitch, you know, wasted my time. I took her out three dates, and it's like, yeah, you could have found out day one she wasn't interested in you. So the thing is this, I usually would tell guys, you know, when you're talking to a woman, whether it's the first date or if you just meet a woman at a bar randomly or in the street or whatever it is like that, you have to have a communication style that lets the woman know that you are interested in her, so that she can respond and reveal her intention towards you too. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's really what it is. Really just a time saver. You know what I'm saying? So even like shout out to ARC, rest in peace, where he was talking about his mode one thing, and he would basically say, you know, being upfront with the woman is not about getting a lot of sex. It's more so to get the women out the way who don't want to have sex with you. So that's kind of like where I go with a lot of guys when it comes to that. So it's more so figuring out a way to be able to see if that woman that you're interested in sexually is interested in you sexually just as much as you're interested in her sexually. And if she's not, then it's like, all right, peace out. You know what I'm saying? If she is, let's continue and you know, we can make this happen.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Locario. Go ahead, Kzaggin.
So I want to double back and kind of touch on something that Michael was saying when he was talking about basically just broaching the topic and getting the woman to kind of take the lead and talking about sex. What guys have to understand is one of women's favorite topics is sex. Women love to talk about sex, period. Women. So all you got to do is create that or cultivate that environment for basically women to let their hair down. And here's the thing, and I said this on a live stream with Steve a couple of days ago. Far too many guys are overly concerned with trying to speak to the woman in front of them instead of the woman that she's hiding from them. And what I mean by that is this: is every woman has a sexual side, but not every guy is going to witness that side. So while guys are trying to talk to the woman in front of them, I'm talking to her sexual side. Okay, the side that's going to reveal to me exactly where her mind is at. You know, anytime you have a conversation with a woman you just met, whether it's conscious or subconscious on her part, you're being assessed for sexual desirability every fucking time. And you notice to be the case because if you've ever approached a woman and she rejected you right away before you can even get a word out, she already assessed you for sexual desirability and she said, not him, right? So if women are making that quick of a judgment to get rid of you, the truth can be said about whether or not they're assessing you for sexual desirability. If guys understood this, then they would cater or tailor their conversations to getting the woman to reveal her private thoughts in those moments.
Okay, so it's just, you know, I only speak for the audience when I do these shows, but it just seems like a lot. Can we get down to layman's terms of, if I find her sexually attractive, if I can just say this one thing to her where I want to sleep with you or I want to have the sexual encounter with you, and if it goes my way, great. But if it doesn't, I should just walk away. So my whole thing is, do we have to go the extra mile for me to want to sleep with this woman? Yes or no? And that can go around
for you
the
to
horn.
want to, or for you to get to sleep with
To
her?
get to sleep with her.
I mean, that just depends on you. Like for me, I go to the gym for me. I built a business for me, actually, for not just for me, but for me, so I can protect my family from anything that happens to them. I did those things for me, and and I also do public speaking for me. I very much enjoy it, and those things also happen to make me very attractive to the opposite sex. So I do it for me, and then what happens is the caliber of woman I attract, it's much easier for me to do so now. But also at the same time, I have to come to some certain realizations. You remember the first thing we talked about was the guy who was just with one woman. Well, if you look at statistically, those guys are happier than the fucking four lurches that are on the camera right now. We are the problem, bro. We've been through so many women, but like we're not, obviously there's this is not the key to happiness, right?
Yeah.
And then you see that whole kind of thing where the guys, we do this all the time. Statistically it's better. The girls that I'm dating now are 20, 25 years younger than me. Well, if I look at it this statistically, that's not a good, that's a recipe for divorce. I understand that I'm part of the problem. Like at least I'm open enough to come to the recognition that I'm also part of the problem. The fact that like, well, these women who have high body counts before they get married, I'm part of that problem. I'm part of the reason why they have these high body counts. You know what I'm saying? And so there's this dichotomy that you have to deal with. Whereas this desire that men have for sexual variety versus like, what is it that actually makes them happy? And then you come like when you're later on in life, you come to the realization, man, I just really would like one girl who just wants to fucking order Mastros and watch the Cowboys with me. That would be fucking great. And then maybe every once in a while, like we could have a threesome. Like that would be also kind of cool too. And then I get in that relationship and all I can think about is being out there on the streets again. So, maybe we're the problem, maybe we're the fucking problem.
I would say this too is, you should never go the extra mile for sex and to get women and attract women. And the reason why I say that is because most guys who do, that's what creates hatred of women. A lot of guys who hate women is because they were going the extra mile. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning that they were doing a lot of things and putting women on a pedestal in order to get sex, and then when they didn't get sex, then they're mad at the woman. You understand? But that's because they were going the extra mile to get those things. So the thing is that you have to be a man who understands himself and has some game about himself, so that you're able to get the women that you're attracted to, and the women that you're attracted to are easily being cooperative and giving you what you want, so that you understand you don't have to go the extra mile to get what you want. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of times when guys go super extra mile to get what they want, they turn into like just bitter and they hate women because they feel like did something to them. Like, man, she took all my money, she wasted all my time, she did it. And it's like, well, you chose to do that because you thought you should do that in order to get sex, or in order to get women. And then now you're upset and frustrated and bitter because you're not getting what you want out of the situation. But that's all from you making those type of moves, thinking that was going to get you some sex. It's terrible.
Appreciate it, Locario. Go ahead, Kzaggin.
So, a couple of things. When we talk about going an extra mile, I equate it to incompatibility. If I have to do a bunch of extra shit and jump through hoops, we're not compatible.
Right.
So if I continue to pursue you, I'm literally trying to force compatibility. I'm trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And, why would I do that to myself, right? Also, to what Locario was saying, when guys go the extra mile, that's what, and Michael alluded to it earlier, right? He was talking about guys, deleting people. Sexual frustration is real. There's a lot of these guys where they want to harm themselves or do harm to others because they haven't had that release from a woman or women. So my thing is, when guys go the extra mile and it doesn't pan out, that creates the angst, the vitriol, the animosity, the resentment towards women, and they're on that the soapbox, fuck a bitch, fuck all these bitches, they're for the streets and all that other shit. But also, and Michael said something earlier I want to touch on, because he was saying that he got to the bag, he got his lifestyle in order based on what he wants for himself and his family, and the byproduct of him moving the way he's moving, he's attracting the women he wants to attract. And that's what I want guys to understand, is that you can do things for yourself, and the byproduct of it is that women are attracted to you.
Right. That's a fact.
Definitely. I accept it. Hold on. Okay. Mike, you back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, buddy. Okay. So, yeah. All right. So, so I appreciate that. So you don't have to go the extra mile. But again, before I move on, and then, because we're getting ready to wrap it up in a little bit, but you guys make it so, you make it, again, speaking for the audience, you make it so fucking easy. You got Michael that comes on the shows every Thursday, and a woman that gets up there, she starts shaking because you have to answer the question directly before I move on. It's my fucking show. Or Locario gets on here and he's coaching you and you have to get it right. Or Kzaggin tells you how to sexual. So you have all this shit going on. So how can I quiet my mind figure out who I am as that individual? How am I able to process what you guys are saying and be able to move forward? Anybody can take that real quick.
Okay, I'll jump on it. So, pause. I caught myself. But no, see, this, and shout out to Miles. She talks about the masculine identity. It boils down to you knowing who you are. Okay, this is why I tell young guys, I don't think it's wise for a young man fresh out of high school or college age to cohabitate with women or get in a serious relationship at the age of 20, 21. Because you're still trying to find yourself. You're still trying to find your way in the world and know who you are. So while you're trying to find out who you are, you're simultaneously dealing with this woman trying to find out who she is. So it's almost like you're stunting your growth, right? Because you're too worried about this woman and holding on to this woman. So I think guys should spend some time, especially early on. Now, if they just want to fuck and date casually, cool. But I think they should spend some time and not get into any serious relationships or anything like that until they have a better foothold on who they are and they're actually moving in the direction of success. Now, guys, far too many guys are easily influenced by the opinions of others. Right. So if you are influenced by the opinions of others, if you are influenced by what people think about you, that's going to have a drastic impact on how you see yourself. It's going to have a drastic impact on how you communicate yourself to others.
All right. Go ahead, Locario.
What was the question again? Can you repeat the question?
No, so I'm hearing all this information. You know, we're talking about percentages and stats and figures and how you get with this one and how you get with that one. Michael's screaming at the top of his lungs. You're teaching programs, and I need to quiet my mind afterwards. So you talk about oneself. How the fuck is a oneself? Like, so where do I get to the point where I can shut you off and figure out who I am in order for me to move on?
Yeah, so I would say this. So I'll say it like this. I had a guy who I was coaching, and actually I had a few situations like this where people send me messages, comments, or whatever. And the similar thing they said was, they was like, well, you know, I can't do what you're saying because I'm not you, right? And I keep telling guys, stop trying to be like me. You're not me. You can't be like me. You can't be like any of us on the screen. We are different men. So what you have to understand is take what we do as examples to help your own situation out. This is what I keep trying to harp to get people to understand is that, you know, I understand that you guys watch us on these videos and we got podcasts and we do our thing and you hear us to get the information. You probably think we're cool or whatever the hell you think it is. But the problem is that you're never going to actually progress in life until you understand who you are exactly specifically. And what you need to do is take the lessons we teach you, but don't try to be like us. You understand what I'm saying? So I think once you realize that you shouldn't be trying to be like us, you should take the information and apply it to yourself. And also, I would say this too, is that, and I've said this before, learn from someone you resonate with. You understand what I'm saying? Because this is the thing. A person might see myself and they say, oh, I resonate with what Locario is saying. Or they might say, I don't resonate with what Locario is saying. I resonate with Kzaggin is saying or Michael is saying. So choose somebody that you resonate with, that you sort of relate to, because that person is similar to where the direction you're trying to go in. So then you can use some of those lessons to help build yourself up. But again, that takes time for you to figure out what you're doing and what you're about and where you're going in the situation. Too many times what happens is that a lot of you guys get confused because you'll listen to what I'm saying, then you listen to what Kzaggin's saying, you listen to what Russell's saying, you listen to what Michael's saying, and you're like, but he said this and then you said that. And then it's like, bro, we're all different men and you're different than us too. So all you need to do is figure out what you want and take the lessons. Now you can take bits and pieces from people, but you still at the end of the day have to figure out your stuff. Because you're the one living your life. When you fuck a girl, I don't feel it. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you're doing it for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was saying.
Appreciate it, Locario. Michael, you bang on your fucking chest. You're titan. You're confident. It's fuck you. I do whatever I want. Guys see this shit on a consistent basis on your shows. So how do I shut you the fuck off and figure out who I am afterwards?
I'm a little confused by the question. Wait. Shut you off or shut me off?
No, like when I'm watching your shows and I see you, you jump from this person. Well, answer this question, and then all right, we're already moving on because I'm done.
I
And
get
then
this.
they're like, "Damn, this guy is like he sucks the fucking oxygen out of the room."
I get this question a lot. If you want like step by step on how to do this, then I actually have to break this down. I break everything down for white belts. I have a beginner program called High Status Networking 101, but it's difficult as far as quieting your mind. I think for me, it's just a function of gratitude. Like, dude, guys, we live in North America. Like, do you understand the majority of the Earth's population lives on $5 a day? Like,
Mm.
realistically, like, do you guys understand? Hey, I'm not getting deported today, but I know some people who are. Like, you could be in a lot fucking worse situation than you are right now. Do you understand, guys? Here's a big one. Ready? Before antibiotics, syphilis had a 58% mortality rate. I want you to think about that for a second. 58% of people who caught syphilis or gonorrhea died from it. And you guys are like, you know, if you guys make 32,000, those of you who are watching this, you make $32,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of wage earners in the world.
Mm.
I just think about that honestly, and I'm like, I don't care what this woman has to say to me. I really don't. Nobody's gonna say anything that's really gonna ruin my life. I live in the greatest country in the world. I have more opportunity than anyone in the world, and like the experiences I've had, if I died tomorrow, it was for 10 lifetimes. So that's just the way I would look at it. Just have an immense amount of gratitude for the fact that if you guys have high speed internet and fucking air conditioning, you are in the like wealthiest humans who have ever existed on this planet. That's just the way I look at it. That gratitude then helps me quiet my mind.
Mm.
So
Go ahead,
let me
Kzaggin,
say
you want
this
to say
real quick.
something?
Let me say this. I kind of want to piggyback off what Michael just said, and I think that's the problem with a lot of guys. They're not grateful for what they have because they're too busy watching other men. I'm sure there are guys that see Michael's lifestyle and are envious, and they wish they could have it. And my thing is, if you want it, just reach out to the man that, like El said, if he's relatable, reach out to him, talk to him, pick his brain as to how he got where he's at. But you can't be him though. There's only one him. You know what I'm saying? You can have maybe similar experiences, but exactly the same, it will never happen.
Mm.
But again, it comes back down to what you want for yourself. Do you want it for yourself, or do you want it for your ego, where you are seeking validation from other people so they can say, look at what he's doing?
Mm.
Why do you want it?
Appreciate that. All right, last question, guys, and I'm going to let you go because I know you guys got busy schedules. Thank you guys so much for joining. Guys, if you have questions, you got to get them in now because we're around that hour for me to end the show. Michael, real quick, because I don't want to conflate anything, but I do a lot of research. That's what I do for my show. So if you can just help me, if you will. Michael, quickly, going back to how to sexualize a conversation with women. I know you didn't make this statement, but, and Locario, you've had your back and forth with him. Marcus Wolf said, men should have a success rate with women at 80% across the board. Now, can we just be honest? 80% is a high rating of an expectation to place on the shoulders of men. Now, would you agree that's doable or no?
You asking me?
Yeah, yes, I'm asking you.
I think it depends on the way you are doing the approach. So, for instance, let's just take high ticket sales. If all I ever did was go after the biggest clients for like $50,000 programs, and then immediately go for the close, my percentage is going to be low. But when I hit, I'm getting $50,000 a pop. If you're in a situation where you're like, for instance, you're a person who is you and your girlfriend are in the lifestyle, and you go to a swingers party, and there's a bunch of people fucking everyone, your conversion percentage is going to be 100%, right? It just kind of depends on what situation. I put myself around some of the most impossible to get girls on earth. Not impossible to get. That's a bad way to see it. But like when I say impossible, I don't mean impossible in like that they're not attracted to me. I mean impossible in like, you know how hard it is to get into Diplo's fucking suite, to like sneak past the security guards to get in these high status situations, or to be on stage at like EDC or something like that. Things that I teach my clients. In those situations, I specifically, if I was getting 80% of the girls that I wanted, I would actually want to aim higher, if that makes any sense. So maybe not 80%, but if I was getting 80%, I'm not telling you I wouldn't be happy. I'm just telling you, like, it's one of these situations. If you're in a room with 5 people, these are your 5 closest friends, and you're the smartest one, you need to be in a different room. You need to be in a room where the men challenge you more. And if I'm getting 80% of the girls that I'm seeing, that's just me. I know some guys, if they got 80% of the girls they were going after, they'd be happy as shit and they wouldn't want anything else. But for me, I'm like Caleb in the Old Testament. I want the big grapes. I'm the ambitious one. And so for me, if I was getting 80% of the girls, that's a very awesome skill set. And I definitely know places where I could do that. But for me, I want to go to I want to go where everything is against me. I'm weird like that. I like playing Madden on all Madden. I like playing on hard mode, on impossible mode.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to play it.
You
That's
like
just me.
challenges.
I like,
You like to be
that's why I joined the military. That's why I flew special ops for 5 years. That's why, because I enjoy challenges. But that's just me. Other people definitely are very. In fact, I just finished Gad Saad's book about happiness, and people who have lower expectations are generally happier throughout their life and live more pleasant lives. So maybe my level of ambitiousness actually is going to cause me to not experience a certain level of happiness. I don't know. Like I said before, maybe I'm the problem.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Guys, so let's go with Kzaggin. So can 80%, can that be doable for guys to go ahead?
For the majority of men, no. Okay, okay, so here's the thing, right? Guys got to understand that there's ebbs and flows, okay? And what I mean by that is this. I'll just use an example of 10 women. Like, if a guy approaches 10 women in a month, which you should be approaching more, but I'm just using that number just to, make it, to simplify it. If a guy approaches 10 women in a month, right, he might have sex with one or two. I'm talking about the average guy. He might have sex with one or two. The next month, he might have sex with 5. The next month, he might not have sex with any, right? So for a lot of guys, there's the ebbs and flows of, you feel like you can't miss. One month, you feel like you can't miss. The next month, you're like, what the fuck is going on? The reality of it is, if you're talking about, I want to hit 80%, at what juncture do you compromise yourself to hit that 80%? But, Locario, you got it.
Gotcha.
Right,
Wale, I'm not answering. You got to, I'm sorry, Locario, real quick. Wale, you have to put the question in the icon, and this is $2 donation, buddy. I can't answer it on the chat.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Locario.
No, I was gonna say, and I was just to piggyback on what Kzaggin was saying is that a lot of times what happens is that guys will compromise themselves to get more traction. So I said this on my live streams. I said, do you know that on the front end, simps are always going to get more women on the front end? Because what happens is when you're simping, you're opening yourself up to sort of like play to the woman so that she'll be like, there. You know,
shout out to Chris GQ Perry. Shout out to Chris GQ Perry. We're thinking about you, buddy.
I know.
Shout out to Justin Baldoni. Shout out to fucking Will Hitchens. Shout out to all the guys who pander to women and get fucking millions of TikTok followers, even though everything you're saying is a complete lie.
Exactly.
Shout out to you guys.
So those guys will definitely get more women traction and everything. But this is the thing. When I was younger, right, and my thought pattern was, I want to try to get as many women as possible. That was my thought pattern when I was younger. So the getting of the women is where you're trying to get the high percentage. Now, the tighter your game gets, this is the funny part, the tighter your game gets, you go from trying to get women to trying to see if the women are worthy to get you, which means that now it's not going to be 80% because I'm going to be dismissing a lot of women. So the tighter my game gets, the more women I dismiss because the more I understand what I want. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is, if you're trying to get 80%, a lot of times it's because you're trying to get more because you haven't really looked at what you actually want. You're still in the zone of, I just want everybody that's, out there that I can get, versus toning it down to say, this is what I want, who I am, and these girls have to go through my filter even to be in front of me. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is that the tighter my game got, the more women, I'll say this, the tighter my game got, the less women that I dealt with, but the more quality women I got with. Do you see what I'm saying? So that I would say it in that sense. You see what I mean?
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. Well, that wraps up the show. I appreciate you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. Michael, go ahead. You can start off first with your podcast shows, promos, and all the stuff that you have upcoming, and then we'll move on from there.
I have a super offensive podcast on evolutionary psychology called the Michael Sartain Podcast. I say things that are true, but are very, very offensive. You guys are more than welcome to check it out. You just go to YouTube, look up Michael Sartain. And you guys can go on my Instagram and look at pictures of pictures that women complain about because they say I look too much like a fuckboy right before they end up going out with me. You guys are more than welcome to look at those too. I just go to Michael Sartain on Instagram. You can find me pretty easy.
Thank you, Michael. Kzaggin.
All right, so the Return to Manhood on YouTube. And also we have the show tomorrow at 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern. The Manhood is a skill set show. Myself, Jay Roman, and Miles Cunningham. Fuck with us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Pineapple Show, did you want to throw that in there real quick too?
Well, we don't do that until Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Go ahead, Locario.
Yes, and guys, just hit me up, badboymembership.com, also masculineidentity.com. You can get the Game Kings 2 documentary at masculineidentity.com. And yeah, just follow me on Instagram at real Mr. Locario, and then we'll get it cracking.
Gentlemen, thank you for dedicating your time. Michael, thank you for coming on for a first appearance. I really appreciate it. And you guys enjoy your weekend and stay safe.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Stay,
Thank
stay
you so
safe from
much.
these hoes.
Yes,
Be
thank
careful
you.
of the hoes, for sure. Take care.
Thank you, brother. Thanks, guys. All right. Well, that was an awesome show. 43 people came the fuck on. We had Locario, Kzaggin, and Michael. I hope you guys got your Wale, you missed your question at that time, but that's okay. You can hop back on when I have the show. Thank you guys so much. This is a high view show for 43 people. I will be back on February 13th. We have Mr. Silverback, Mr. 1950. And then we have Isaac on the show for the man panel. So again, I will be back on February 13th. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys always checking out the show. Isaac, thank you for your donation. Thank you for your patronage. I really appreciate it, buddy. And guys, have a fantastic weekend. And what do I always say? Take care of one another. I'm out. I'm gone. Peace.